Hi. It's Ghosticles time, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
It is.
That clap was difficult.
I have the sheet in front of me. It's weird. You know, this is the post-vaccine clap, so I'm not sure of anything right now.
Per our usual. Now, last week, 2 weeks ago, it was unusual because we had no technical issues. None.
Real quick, let me interject. When I say post-vaccine clap, I want it to be very clear. Jamie and I do not have the clap. We clap before the episode starts as a place marker for the engineer who mixes it. So we do this. We clap because it makes a very sharp. It registers very sharply on the sound file, so it's easy to see when you're editing. We don't. The vaccine did not give us the clap. It
did not. It did not. No, we are clap free. We just clap bed.
I didn't say that. I just said the vaccine didn't give us the clap.
Yeah. Normally, though, I can see you, which makes it easier to kind of guess where you're going to clap.
Oh, right.
I could not see you, so I was completely guessing.
Yeah, we're on Zoom right now, and of course, normally we have the camera as well, and I can see Jamie, but she can't see me because our studio computer is being a bitch today.
Yeah. They have weird changes that have to be made for different things, and I don't.
It's so stupid. I hate computers. Yeah. They're always like, what about this? But you need to do this now. I'm going to change this. And now, today this isn't going to work. Good luck. No, you got to restart me now.
Yeah. Oh, did you get that update?
Sorry, it's going to take 4 hours.
Can't do it. So sad.
Why does it take 4 hours to update something I never fucking use? Anyway.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, but we did it. We clapped, and we've been vaccinated.
We have.
Thoroughly.
We have.
Twice, as my grandpa would say.
Twixt.
Twast. Yes. I have a really big bruise. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, God, yeah, I can. Holy shit, Jamie.
I have a bruise on my shoulder where I got the shot, but it's only above the Band-Aid. And then, can you see this red patch right here?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit from below the bruise. There's a red patch that's real hot. But it doesn't hurt anymore.
My arm, I don't have a bruise, but my arm was really sore. It's better today, but I didn't have any symptoms, except I was a little tired, but I'm always a little tired, so who knows if that was the vaccine. And but then yesterday, about 24 hours after I'd gotten the shot, I decided, cool, I'm feeling fine. It's been 24 hours. I'm going to go for a nice walk. And while I was on that walk, it fucking it hit me like a Mack truck, as they say. And I just kind of crawled back home, went into bed, and stayed in bed for a while. And then I woke up this morning as though yesterday didn't happen. Like today, I'm 100% fine, which is weird. Usually for me, if I do get sick, which is fairly rare, I don't get terribly sick often. But when I do, it takes forever to recover. It's very gradual and staggered, and so I'm kind of, it's fucking weird. It's like I just switched bodies in my sleep, which is not a bad thing.
I mean, not bad. Yeah, that's, the way to do it. I made a mistake. I worked out so I got my shot on Thursday afternoon, and so I normally work out with Monica, my friend Monica, on the mornings, on Friday mornings. And so I went to work out with her, per usual. And about 2/3 of the way through, I realized, this was probably not the best idea. And I felt fine, though, before then, completely fine. Jack wasn't feeling great the night before, but I was totally fine. So I go.
You're like, I'm going to go work out.
Yeah. And even then it was hard until the end. And then it was like, oh, right, this is bad. This is real bad. So I realized a few hours later that it was probably much worse than it would have been had I not been working out. And so I didn't feel great on Friday at all. And if I wasn't taking Tylenol or Advil, I had a fever, period. I had to take something to keep that fever down. So, immediate chills, shivery chills if I didn't have one. So something to help with the fever. But
it's funny.
Other than that,
it's like any activity. We felt a little too brave, so we decided to, you decided to work out. I decided to go on one of my long scenic walks. And it's like the body's immune system just treated us the way, you've instructed us to treat mean stray dogs in the street. It was like, no, you go home.
Go home. Yeah, I feel like, it's probably worse than it needed to be, but grand scheme, it's totally worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the worst I've ever felt in my life, not even close to it. I was just really tired
same.
and a little queasy at times.
Yeah.
But to be fair,
To be fair,
my emotional reaction to anything is to be nauseated. So it's like, I am hungry, I'm a little nauseated. I am not hungry, I'm a little nauseated. I'm stressed, I'm happy. Like, it's all, I'm a little nauseated. So, there's no telling. And, it just felt like, a day, if anybody's dealt with, like, fatigue or any kind of, like, autoimmune kind of stuff, it's kind of like a day where you shouldn't be going anywhere. You should just stay home and call off all your activities because you're not going to really accomplish anything. It's going to be really, really challenging. And then if you try to think, you will only be able to do so via satellite. You'll look at something and it'll process about 30, 40 seconds later. And, so
I was
be
in
moving real slow.
such a mental fog yesterday that when I finally, so we have a 3-story townhome, right? And so Brandon and Devin were up on the 3rd floor in their respective rooms working on stuff. The dogs were on the 2nd floor in the living room and the kitchen just hanging out. And I was downstairs, like I had crawled in the front door and just like crawled into bed and stayed there. And I was like, I'll just take a quick nap. I'll be fine. 3.5 hours pass. And I'm finally like, I'm hungry. I should probably crawl up the stairs as best I can. And they knew something was wrong because I put on my robe, and I never wear my robe anymore. So I crawled upstairs and was, like, fumbling around, but I was, like, just trying to heat up some fucking soup. I was like, I felt a million years old. And, like those old, like, Meals on Wheels commercials or whatever, where it's, like, the poor old woman that just can't manage to open the can, and so she just goes back to bed. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is me now. And
that's
so
who
sad.
We are.
And then they came downstairs and they heard me puttering around, like just like making all this noise in the kitchen, just trying to figure out, well, how soup? And they asked me like, oh no, did it hit you? And this is my response. Yes.
Yeah, ours was just like, how you feeling? Not great. What about you? Same. I don't feel excellent. That was kind of our...
And then at last night, so it didn't stay with me for long. I was feeling like crap for probably less than 12 hours because around, I stayed up really late last night because I slept so early in the evening for like 2-3 hours. And so around 4 in the morning, I was like, okay, I feel better now. It's just kind of gone. I feel kind of tired, like exhausted from having, sweat out my fever or whatever. But I also had the worst fucking heartburn I have had in years.
Yeah.
So
that is so weird because Jack did too. So it was really, that's kind of that must have been a side effect because it's so random that both of you had like randomly terrible weird. Up till 5, right? Same thing.
Yeah. I had I had to take so much medicine for it just for it to work. I was like, oh my God, get me another Tums or not Tums, whatever it is. Gaviscon.
And now that we've had our second shot, we're closer to the veil, so we can see spirits everywhere. Not really. That's not true at all.
Nice segue, but we can read about them.
Did you like that?
Shall I start? Because I'm sure people are like, fucking stop talking about the vaccine.
Stop talking about the vaccine.
Get to the ghosty shit. We've already waited a week or 2 weeks or however long. Sorry, guys. Look, life is hard right now for everybody.
Well, you were on your trip.
Yes, we were on a trip, and you're working, and I'm working, and it's just kind of like, working a lot.
We're trying to fit it in.
And
it was like, we have to do it today. Today's the only day.
Yeah, it was literally.
The earliest, if we didn't do it right now, the earliest would be maybe Thursday night or next Sunday. Like we are too full right now.
It's fucking crazy. Yeah. So let's start because we have some nice submissions today. The first one comes from Sarah with an H. Hello, Jamie and Michael, says Sarah with an H. I hope you guys had a good Easter, and I hope Michael got his encounter with a certain cryptid while he was vacationing. Okay, quick aside, I didn't, but in the cabin we rented in Big Bear, which is in the mountains about 2 hours from where we live in North Hollywood, I was hoping we'd see a Bigfoot, but I did find there was a little watercolor painting of a Bigfoot in the cabin, and I was like, all right, we'll take it.
Next time, just be more specific about what you want to see.
I know, and I've got to be better about how I frame my questions. I'm
Yeah,
too vague.
exactly.
I need to be more assertive.
Yes.
To continue, so you guys were reading stories of strange happenings last time, and well, I guess you could say I had something very strange happen. So Wednesday night, my husband and I were in bed. I was playing Animal Crossing. My husband was next to me, and our Great Dane was was at the foot of the bed. I was laying on my side when my husband said his wrist hurt. I put my game down in front of me and to look at his wrist and work on it a bit. I'm a massage therapist, so I know a few tricks. Hey,
Nice.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet
We're
you
so
do.
sorry.
I'm sorry. That's disrespectful. I'm sure I bet you're amazing at what you do.
We're sure you do know a few tricks. Fuck. Whenever you're ready. Sorry.
As I was doing this, I felt a hand run across my lower back, like when you're cuddling with your partner and they run their semi-closed hand over your lower back. I could feel the difference in tension. I just porky pigged that.
It's great.
Differentiation is hard to say in a sentence. Okay, I just found a new word that I can't say. I could feel the differentiation in tension. Jesus. God,
You
Sarah.
did it.
I barely.
Differentiation, but in attention.
I crawled across the finish line because I was the only one in that race. I could feel the difference in tension between the fingers and the knuckles. For a split second, I thought it was my husband, but then I remembered that the only hand he'd been able to do that with was in my hand. I stiffened up and reached behind me, wondering if a cat had gotten in, but I knew that wasn't the case because my dog loves his kitty cat brothers and would be all over them if they were in the room with us. My husband noticed my reaction and kept asking me what was wrong. I then kept shushing him, my mind racing over a mental checklist of what it could be. The only conclusion that came to mind is that it could have been water on my clothes from taking the dog out in the rain, but I felt the sensation move up and down, or back and forth, from one side of my hip across my back to the other side and then back again twice. I honest to God have no clue what that was. Don't sound like water to me. When I explained it to my husband, he shrugged and said, "No one's died here, so I don't know what could possibly be haunting it." I countered that the house was nearly 100 years old, and we can't be 100% sure that no one has died here or in one of the neighboring homes.
If your house is 100 years old, someone's died there, period. End of story.
Well, no one has to have died in your house for it to be haunted.
That's true. But if your house is
so-
100 years old, someone has died in it. Period. End of story.
Certainly an animal has. Most definitely an animal has.
Oh, yeah.
This happening made me think of something that had happened earlier this year. We were doing some home renovations. My husband was doing some tinkering and putting out our Ring doorbell and other security cameras while I kept the dog occupied in our room so he'd stay out of the way. The doggo and I were cuddling when I heard my husband's boots walking toward our bedroom. "Sarah," I heard my name being called. I found this odd because my husband never calls me by my name. It's usually sweetie or my love or something along those lines. That's fair. Like, you know you're in trouble when your partner uses your actual name. It's like when your parents use your full name. Like, oh, you're fucked.
Yeah.
What's up? I replied. "Where are you?" "I'm in the bedroom. I haven't left." The boots moved again and stopped outside the bedroom door. The door handle began twisting and twisting and twisting. I want to read that like Paul Rubens in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And twisting, and twisting, and twisting. At this point, At this
Let's
point,
take this spooky moment and then just like add some Paul Rubens to it. It will keep you from having nightmares.
Exactly. It's just palate cleanser. That's all. At this point, the dog had gotten up, standing defensively between me and the door, growling the deepest growl I've ever heard him make. His hair,
I mean, for a Great Dane,
standing
that's
on
deep.
end. Yeah, it sounds like an alligator mating call. Of course, that's the moment I get a text from my husband. "Hey, I had to run to the hardware store to get some things. Want me to get anything on the way back?" If my husband was gone, who the fuck was in my house? I'd gotten up to check and found no one, but I never heard the boots leave that spot. So was the voice who walked up to my door and said my name also the cause of what happened? Feeling someone touch me? Honestly, I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you guys have a great day. Oh, yeah, your place is haunted. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the same thing, but also I kind of want to say they're two different things, just so that you have more to go with.
I don't know, but here's the thing. Like, to me, it sounds like it's based on this limited information. It sounds like the ghost maybe has a crush on Sarah and is like trying to imitate her husband to be like, hey, I want to touch her back. I want to cuddle. I want to come into the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like which is sorry. I probably made it so much worse for you, Sarah. I didn't mean that, but it also, I don't know. It also could be that you're so attached to your husband. Jamie and I were having this discussion on our chat, the Ghoul Intentions chat yesterday, when Brandon and I went to the cabin in Big Bear last weekend. The dog stayed behind with our roommate Devin, as they always do when we're gone. And but while we were in this cabin, we kept acting unconsciously as though the dogs were there. Like, I kept expecting to see Genji on the bed, or to kind of unconsciously make room for them if I was walking up the stairs. Things like that we just kind of do because your body falls into certain habits, right? And I think that when you're attached to someone or something, like they become part of your kind of mental ding.
There it was.
Oh, I can relax now. But whenever you're really attached to someone or something, I think your brain is really good at filling in the blanks when they're not around. And not to say that it isn't something paranormal, but we have to consider that the brain is real good at filling in and being like, cool, was that? It's why, because our dogs aren't dead. Our dogs are right here. They're right outside this booth door as I speak. But if they had been dead, God forbid, and Brandon and I were in the cabin and had the experiences we did out there, I would think that our dogs' souls had followed us to the cabin and were there with us. But I think our brains are just so used to having them around that our brain accounts for them even when they're not. And and so we act. And I think maybe the same is true if you're really attached to a person. So it may not be a ghost. You just may have a very vivid imagination and be very in love with your husband, which I think is sweet.
Which is nice. There's also the phantom voice thing that happens where you can clearly hear your mom call your name, or a person who's calling your name a lot. You'll hear that, in silence. You'll hear it, but it's a brain thing. However, a couple of things make me make my eyebrows raise on this one. Is that he called her Sarah, but that is not what he normally calls her.
Right.
The other thing is,
and the doorknob
to go along, and the doorknob, and the footsteps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the dog being at attention.
The footsteps, you can sometimes hear footsteps. I mean, it's possible to hear footsteps that aren't there. I've had that happen before, I think. So it's possible. But the doorknob and the dog responding to it, it seems to be a physical thing. But again, getting back to the whole thing of tulpas, maybe Sarah. Sarah, I'm going to ask you a personal question, and feel free to ignore me. Because it's really none of my fucking business, but I'm just curious. Had you done something, maybe eaten the last of your husband's favorite ice cream without restocking or something? Have you done something to feel a little guilty about, so that maybe, you wouldn't, so that maybe he would have called you by your name and not your pet name because he was mad at you? Were you waiting for the other shoe to drop because of something you'd done? Because maybe you created a stress tulpa.
Right. Did you, I don't know, did you maybe cut off a lock of his hair and put it into a bowl and set that on fire with a couple of other things and perform a spell at all? Because that could be it.
I mean, you did say you knew a few tricks. I don't know. All that's very weird. We're just picking on you, but all that's very weird. And I still am of the mindset that ghosts or these otherworldly entities, whatever you want to call them, I think they kind of dress themselves up with our mental expectations. So they frequently will sound like people we know, dead or alive, or they'll creep into the space. They will creep into our habits of what we see and what we're around. It's like, oh, I felt something on, you're cuddling with your husband and you feel his hand on your back, even though it couldn't have been his hand. Well, so it's but it's weird. It's like the ghost was, if it was a ghost, is taking advantage of that kind of mental space that it wouldn't, in any other context, it wouldn't have been unusual in that moment to feel his hand up and down your back.
Right.
So it's just weird. So it's like, I don't know. I'm fascinated by this kind of stuff. I'm fascinated by the implications of paranormal experiences that seem to wear the mantle of known stuff. It's just out of place. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that was my husband, but my husband's not here. And he was using my name instead of our normal pet names. Or that was my dog, even though my dog is right here next to me. You know, things like that. I'm fascinated. I wonder if it's just the way that the paranormal talks to us. Like
Right.
it has to use what's already in our brains.
I would say too, there's also, just because you notice supernatural activity, paranormal activity, ghostical activity, whatever, just because you notice it now for the first time or it's in your house does not mean it's trapped. Right? They can move around too and
Yep,
maybe
exactly.
just saw you and was interested in you and came to your house to see what was going on and might be there a few days and leave. So it's not like just because a space is haunted that spirit or entity or whatever is trapped. That's not always the case. So it could just be a visitor that's coming to say hi, check things out, see if you guys are like into a threesome, and that's not, if you're not, okay, that's cool. Then let me see when she's on her own. Nope, still all right. I was just checking. I'm out. And that could be the situation.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's good. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that.
Yeah,
with us.
thanks, Sarah.
It's a good story. It's a good story.
We're sorry that we picked on you.
I was really fascinated. I wanted to kind of pick it apart because I thought it warranted our attention because it was that good.
That's true. Yeah. Everyone else, send us your stories and we might pick on you too.
Yeah.
Yay! All right. Next up, we have Kelly. Hi, Jamie and Michael.
Hello.
Hi. I'm just catching up on your backlog of podcasts. I found you in January of 2021, and I wish I could have found you sooner. It would have made my work from home stay a little more fun. I really enjoy listening to your friendship. Thank you for letting us be a fly on the wall for a part of it. Oh, that's good. I need to preface my story by saying I'm a staunch atheist and don't believe much in the intangible, but with a science background, I do believe in energy. It's that energy or intuition Jamie describes when she tells her brother to trust a woman that says she's got a bad feeling or don't go that way. She's picking up on something that you don't.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. I was 12 years old when I first began to use my intuition. I was in that space between child and adulthood, and I would open my blinds a bit every night and look out at the stars. I wanted to be an astronomer and didn't realize it wasn't really in my zip code destiny. I looked out.
That's great. I love that. That's a good turn of phrase.
It is. It's not in my zip code destiny. I look out and hope for my future, and still, as a child, I'd say that corny starlight, star bright. I wish for something hokey, like, I sure hope that boy in my social studies class will look my way. Being in Montana,
I had the same wishes when I was that age.
Absolutely. Being in Montana, our mornings were very dark up until school started. Every morning, I'd return to my room from my morning shower and stare at my body for several minutes, sometimes with joy at womanhood emerging, and sometimes with absolute horror, wondering when the heck my body will just stop filling out already. I never grew past 5'2".
As a middle-aged man, I feel the exact same way now.
Right now. I never grew past 5'2" and 3/4. Ooh, I'm 5'3" and 3/4.
Hey.
So every bump and curve can be easily seen. I don't know if everyone does. So true, man. Ugh.
Sorry. I'm just laughing because it's like I'm over here.
Because you're 6'4"?
I'm 6'4", and you can see every curve and bump on me, too.
Oh, just imagine. Take a foot away, and then you would see, oh, I didn't know that you could get those kinds of bumps. Well, you can, Michael. You can.
If I had these same kind of bumps and I was shorter, I'd just look like a gummy bear.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if everyone does this as the inner adolescence, but coming from a fairly conservative house, these things weren't talked about so much. Yeah, I feel like we're all very interested in the changes that our bodies make. I was, for sure. My daily routine was
can't
about
help it,
All right. My daily routine was about the same. Get dressed, eat breakfast, and meet up with some friends for our walk to school. At 7:30 in the morning, not much is happening on the sidewalks of Great Falls, Montana, except for maybe a morning jogger or two. My friends and I had started seeing pass us by. Then, one day as I was getting ready, I had a distinct feeling I was being watched. Like I couldn't put my finger on it, I just had a feeling. I turned to look out my window and nothing. This went on for a few days until I realized I had to trust this feeling. Instead of turning slowly with my body position giving me away, I jerked my head around real fast without turning my shoulders. And there he was, this face in the window. This crazy creepazoid had been staring at me getting ready for school for who knows how long. looking at me with those creepy eyes. As soon as he saw me see him, he gave me like a shoulder shrug and ran away. Like he was just
like,
catching his
burp,
usual
burp.
show.
It's like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'll let myself out.
Whoopsie. Yeah, like he was just catching his usual show. What's the big problem? It was that morning jogger my friends and I had been passing by. Then it all made sense. I suddenly felt shame at my carelessness at leaving open my window blind, at my naivete. I just couldn't walk to school that day. I asked my mom to give me a ride. It's so funny. She gave me zero grief. No, hurry along. It's your fault for taking too long. The look on my face must have set off her intuition, and she drove me to school that day, no questions asked. I couldn't have been more grateful to her, but I never told her why, and she never asked. Enough of my story. I have to say a few things. Your podcast about the Villisca Axe Murder House was my absolute favorite. Yay, it's one of my favorites too. Your description of the murder lying in wait in the closet set off some alarm bells for me. Also, I have a family in Iowa and visited them on their farm in Thurman, Iowa, which isn't that far away. I was 12 and 14 at the time. Michael, you are a kindred spirit. I know of no one else that has read Civilization and its discontents. I read it for...
I'm so validated right now because I'm the same way. No one else has fucking read it that's alive.
I read it for funsies on my bus commute the few years I lived in Seattle. William Blake was a subject frequently brought up with my spouse as he was an English major in college. And growing up in Montana, I played Duck, Duck, Gray Duck, not Duck, Duck, Goose. Which, when you mentioned that it was a game probably only northern kids played, that was such a blast from the past, and I had to let you know it's true. JB, you're an awesome gal. You're spicy and feisty, and I wish I had an ounce of your chutzpah. Thanks. Your reveal of the aftermath of the legal saga in your life made me give a cathartic cry. Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry if my story isn't about real ghosties. It's about the ghoulish behaviors inside of people, and I think that is freakishly scary.
Hey, let me tell you, your story covered all the bases. It had some paranormal implications and a creepy fucking face in the window. It's even creepier when the face in the window belongs to a living person. That's even creepier than a ghost. Because a ghost, you're like, who knows? Yeah, it's like, oh, God, this motherfucker's watching me.
He runs this path. What a creeper. Yeah. If anybody has creepy stories like that, we
creepy
them
stalker
for
stories.
Sure.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Also, the compliments. We dig those.
Thank you. And thank you for...
That makes us happy.
I love it. Someone else has read Freud. All right, our next one comes from Eileen Marie. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
It has been a while since I've had anything to submit. I want to start by saying thank you for everything you do. Your decision to start this podcast has changed my life in 1,000 positive ways. The Ghouls D&D group is one of the best things to ever happen to me. Oh, yay. I'm so happy to hear that.
It is so fun. It is so fun.
It really is. This is just a short little story. In Ghoul Intentions 114, The Unknown Persists, you read a story about someone driving along mountain roads only to find themselves on a straight road through a forest. The story stopped me in my tracks. Instant goosebumps, dizzy, had to sit down and pause the show. This has happened to me. 10 years ago, I was in a relationship with a South African man. We had met while working at Six Flags Great Adventure. He spent a few years going back and forth between the U.S. and South Africa on work visas, and I would visit him in his country while he was there. My first visit after I arrived, we drove from Durban to Port Elizabeth to visit other friends of ours. Now, South Africa is desert, scrubland, no forests. You know, because white colonists came in a few centuries ago and forested the place to nothing, like they do.
They do.
Like the Reddit user, all the mountains we drove around were blank. No trees, just occasional bushes and low flowers. Except one patch for about an hour, around maybe 10 p.m., we were driving through this thick, luxurious, deep forest. All I could see was light mist, moonlight, and deep, green, old-growth forest. A week later, when we were driving back through that area, it was midday, and I asked my friend where the forest was. He said there hadn't been a forest in the area for centuries. I still dream about that drive. It was one of the most gorgeous things I'd ever seen in my life. But apparently, I'm the only one who saw it. Now, maybe I was hallucinating due to lack of sleep. I was awake. We remember the same conversation, the same music. I just remember a forest where there was none. Maybe I was just seeing back to a time when the area was still a forest. Who knows? It will always be one of my favorite yet weirdest memories. Thank you. Stay spoopy, Eileen Marie. Man, I love that. I wonder, there was so Colin Wilson, who I talk about a lot, and that I have talked about a lot on the show because he's one of my favorite thinkers on the paranormal. He wrote extensively in his 2 volumes on the occult called The Occult. He wrote extensively about people that have these kind of time slip perceptions, and he didn't really know what to call them. He's like people like there was a well-known story, a pretty established story of these 2 women that were, I think, in Kent, and they were just touring around. They were on holiday, in the UK, and they were in Kent just kind of touring around, and suddenly they found themselves like in what was clearly the same area, but 100 years earlier. And they thought there was some kind of festival going on, like people in period garb and all that. And they're like, oh, that's weird. But then they realized that like a church or something they'd passed by on their rounds that had been kind of old and dilapidated now looked beautiful and manicured. And there's no way that could have happened in the like hour since they'd seen it last. So they were like, it's like we slipped into a different time. But it's weird to me that you were with someone else who didn't see it. So maybe there's just some perceptual apparatus in some brains that are just like, this is what it looked like back then. I don't know. Some people are really, as an actor, sometimes we can get so good at visualization exercises that we experience actual trauma from the thing we're supposed to be performing. And that tells me that the brain is really good at processing input and making it extremely vivid for you. So there could very well be something about that area that you're just keyed into, and so you can see it as it was in a way that's so vivid you just take it for granted. Whereas the other person just isn't thinking along those lines, so whatever. And it could have been heightened by the fact that you were jet lagged. It could have been because it's just like sometimes if you've had a little bit to drink, or if you're not in control, as much control of your senses as you would normally be, that's when the weird stuff starts flooding in. Doesn't mean that it's not real, but it's just like I think we're really good at protecting ourselves from those weird intuitions, from those weird experiences, and when our guard's down, then they come in.
Yeah. I love the idea, though, too, that this could have been possibly like a past life thing. So it's you are driving through a place you recognize from another life, and so you see it that way. It's like a really excessive deja vu situation.
Maybe you were drawn to your partner, the South African, because of your past, because of your past last. Yeah, who knows? That's really cool, though. That's really I love stories of people finding themselves in like a dimension slip or a time slip, because it happens a lot. It happens a lot more than people realize. People just don't talk about it because like, where do you go? Who do you tell it to? That's like, maybe it comes up over Thanksgiving, but that's fucking it. There's not like a hotline.
There's probably a Reddit for it now.
Yeah, but I mean,
time slip Reddit.
Time slip Reddit. Yeah. Man, Reddit is such a time suck, though. That it's...
Oh, it is true. The time suck of time slip Reddit. Okay, so next up.
That's a great story. Thank you.
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Crow. Hi, Jamie and Michael.
Hello.
Starts the same way. This isn't quite a full story, just a coincidence. Funny enough to be worth mentioning, in my opinion. While driving for my food delivery job tonight and listening to Michael talk about the Beast of Bray Road, a black sedan pulled out in front of me with a license plate reading werewolf, but spelled out W3R3WLF, werewolf.
I love that. I want that I want that fucking license plate so bad.
I definitely shrieked out loud in my car because what are the possible odds of that? Not expecting this to be read on the show, just crazy enough that I felt I had to tell you guys. I felt like it was funny, so we all need to know.
That was fucking perfect.
As you listen, you see that license plate and go, ah! Like I could totally, yes, absolutely.
Topical.
Yes. Congrats on the funky energy this podcast continues to bestow on its listeners. I'm glad that funky, we'll take it. We'll take it. Shit,
Hell
we'll take
yes.
it. Okay. As I'm typing this, I'm remembering that I do have another story that's way too short to share on its own, but I feel like Michael especially will appreciate. Years ago, while hiking with my mom in Florida's Myakka River State Park.
Myakka, yeah, I think so.
Myakka, Myakka. River State Park, yeah. We may have seen the elusive skunk ape. On the off chance that you haven't already read about it, the skunk ape is Florida's native variety of Bigfoot. We were walking on a trail bordering a wide expanse of wetlands when we noticed a small group of people watching something. So we stopped to check it out. On the opposite side of the wetlands near the tree line, a dark, furred figure was walking upright on two legs through the tall grass. It was too far away to get a detailed look at it, and unfortunately these were the days of shitty flip phones, so the high-res zoomed-in photo was out of the question. Could it have been a black bear walking on its hind legs? Maybe. Could it have been a dude in a gorilla suit? If it was, I can't say I'm truly disappointed, because walking through marshy sawgrass alongside alligators in that getup takes real commitment.
In that humidity too, like
right? I've had lots of fun listening to Ghoul Intentions during the lonely drives on dark roads since its early days in 2018. Thanks for many hours of meticulously researched and enthusiastically presented content you've given us. You're welcome. This is from Crow. Thank you, Crow.
That's awesome.
This is a very complimentary group today, and we appreciate you.
I love it. I need this. Man, the skunk ape of Florida, I think, is 100% real. The YouTuber I'm very fond of, who goes by the name Bob Gimlin. I'm sure that's not their real name, because Bob Gimlin is the name of the guy that was with Patterson. He was one of the two people that got that famous Patterson Bigfoot film. And so I think it's probably just a tongue-in-cheek reference to that. But the YouTuber's name is Bob Gimlin, and he did a whole thing about the skunk ape, and it really breaks down like the story and how it broke. And it's an odd one. It's a much odder story than people realize, but odd enough in a way that it makes me think it's 100% true. Because again, it's when people try to lie, they try to make it coherent. Generally.
It does make sense. It's not. There's not a beginning and a middle and an end to
exactly.
It doesn't. Now, when you tell the story, though, there should be a beginning, middle, and end.
Well, yeah. But it's kind of meta, because you have to be aware that it has to fit into it. But like when you try to, in real life, it doesn't happen that way. In real life, paranormal encounters don't unfold with the same momentum as you see in a horror movie. Right. It's just not. It's just. The whole idea of the paranormal is that it flouts our expectations. So if it hit all the same story beats that films and television does, then it wouldn't be paranormal, would it? It would just be formulaic and boring.
That's right.
And it was like, oh, great. So the afterlife is just as concerned about ratings as this one is. All right. The next submission comes from Heather. Hey, guys. It's Ryu from the Discord. Hello. I thought of a story that, while definitely could be argued either way on the paranormal side of things, was memorable and, at least in hindsight, kind of funny. We live in a semi-suburban area, but there's a big field to one side and a property with horses behind us. Because of this, we had a mouse problem, and sometimes they'd get into the main house. Because of... I hate it. I hate it so much.
Flashbacks.
I want to fucking firebomb all of them. Because of this, the first thing I thought when I started being woken up at night by something in the wall behind my husband's dresser, I assumed it was a mouse and hoped our young but determined Manx mix would flush it out and deal with it. Although he did discover he could extend his playtime by dropping live mice into the bathtub for later, he didn't manage to do anything about the scratching and didn't even try to investigate in the night when we heard it. Being a light sleeper, this was starting to cost me some sleep, so being fed up, I'd go and thump on the wall and it would go silent until the next night, at least at first. Then it started ignoring the thumps. Getting fed up and wondering if we were going to end up with a dead rodent in the wall, sleep-deprived me finally ended up trying a new tack one night. I walked over and listened to the scratching in the wall, realizing that it sounded too large to be a mouse, maybe even too large for a chipmunk. But whatever it was dealing with a sleep-deprived housewife entirely done with its bullshit and fueled by exhausted rage. I scratched back on my side of the wall. Since it had not been responding to the sound of my fist on the wall, I'm not sure why I thought this would work, but it did. There was an abrupt and tension-filled pause, and then the sound of something retreating down the inside of the wall as fast as it could manage. Whatever it was, ghoul, ghost, or wayward rodent, never came back. Whatever it was that was going bump and scratch in the night, I guess it wasn't prepared for someone to bump back. I love it. I want it to be a giant rodent that was like, fuck her, I don't care, thump, thump, thump. And when they heard the scratch, like, damn, that bitch is crazy, we better clear out.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta go. She knocks back. Fuck.
That's
Or
hilarious.
in the movie, in my movie of it, on the other side of the wall is a different dimension of her. And so she's knocking back to herself. Like she's scratching to
She's
see what's on the
scratching
other
and finally.
side. And she just scratches back and she's like, and so the other her is like, oh no, I'm never scratching again. I didn't want something to scratch back.
Maybe
Also,
it could be that
anybody...
it could be that the rodent like heard the scratch and thought, "Oh fuck, there's a bigger rodent. Okay, I'm out of my depth."
Yeah, I have to go. If anybody heard thumping during that story, I apologize. I don't know, Michael, if you saw me like look around at one point during that.
I did.
We just had. Oh, there's a little thumping right there. Dexter's in the booth with me. Dot is scratching herself right outside the door. I was like, what is thumping right here? But I just had groceries delivered and I heard thump, 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 thump. So that was Dot jumping off the bed and running down the stairs to the front door. And then the door opening and closing, and then her running all the way back up, and then Dexter standing up and spitting on himself because he's a Boston Terrier. So there's a lot of that noise going on right now. So I apologize for anyone. Let me let him out of here. There you go. Go get her. You guys play. Otherwise, he's going to just keep snorting throughout the rest. He normally just sleeps the whole time. Not today.
Today's like, no, someone's at the door.
I also have this other fun thing that's happening. I believe that my neighbor's grandchild is over, and who's young. It's a toddler. And so I was hearing them and little which is disturbing when ghost stories are being told. But I'm pretty sure
very.
Yeah. It's usually very, very quiet in my booth, but not today. Not today. Okay. So I think this is our last one. Last up, we have Holly Louise. I live in an old small village in the UK near Pendle Hill. Ooh, that's the witch one. We've covered that before. I think Heather is also a UK folk. But anyway,
I think you're
old
right.
small village in the UK near Pendle Hill. And we're gonna come visit you. That's just it. Like I want to go so bad.
We are. Oh my
And
God.
legend has it that Chaddocks, one of the infamous Pendle witches, put a curse on the village pub, turning the beer sour, which is so weird because I love sour beer, turning the beer sour and bewitching the landlord's son to death. So it is said to be a pretty haunted place. I live about 100 yards up the road from the pub. This routine happens most nights when I go to bed. My room leads straight onto the landing with the top of the stairs directly across from my door and the bathroom just to the side of the stairs. I know there is no one else home as I am currently living on my own. Around 11 p.m., as I am getting ready for bed, I hear footsteps walking up and down the landing outside of my bedroom. I used to brush this off as my brother, but this soon changed after he moved out of the house.
Oh.
After that, I told myself that it was the floorboards of the house settling, but then my dog started to react, and he now follows the sounds up and down the bottom of the door as if there is someone or something outside my door. Normally, this only happens at night. However, this happened during the day a few weeks ago. Due to the pandemic, I have been working from home and I was sat in the kitchen in a work meeting. I was sat with my dog and his bed beside the kitchen table where I was sitting. Again, I'm the only person living there at the moment. I heard someone run up the stairs, as did the dog because he jumped up, ran to the door, and started barking. I texted my brother as I presumed he had come back to pick something up and didn't want to disturb my meeting, but he texted me back saying he was not here and was out with a friend. About 10 minutes later, my meeting finished, so I decided to go and see if anyone had come into the house. I knew there wasn't because I hadn't heard any doors open or close. The doors in my house are really loud when they open and close, so it would be difficult to miss these sounds. No one was here, and there was no other way to explain this. Yesterday, however, I experienced something that I had never experienced before in the 13 years I have lived here. I was sat watching TV in the living room, and the dog was asleep next to me. And out in the hallway behind me, I heard a dog bark, only once. This definitely was not my dog, as he was asleep next to me, and his bark is more of a high-pitched bark due to him being a Jack Russell. But this was a loud, deep bark, as of from a larger dog. This has only happened the one time so far, but it was very unsettling, to say the least. Yes, it's good. It's so good.
Oh,
Maybe you heard the Great Dane barking.
I was just thinking
and
that.
you're just hearing each other.
Maybe. That's right. Without knowing it, in some weird cross-dimensional way, all of our listeners are haunting each other.
Oh, I love it. That's what's happening. This is our new story. In our movie, we have opened some sort of weird portal where people are hearing other listeners on the other side of whatever it is.
Man, talk about your RPG.
I know. Oh, that's such a good story.
Good.
And also being in
love
Pendle Hill, I
know.
want more of
More,
the stories
more.
from there.
All of it. All of it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
goodness.
Thank you so much for your stories, guys. Please
Yeah.
continue sending them in at
Please.
ghoulintentionscomposttypepodcastp3042, the menu. Also, patrons, we love you. We think you're wonderful. We have another chat on Saturday, so we'll see you guys then. And until then, stay safe.
Stay sane.
And remember,
It's okay
to sleep with the lights on.